Welcome everybody. It's such a pity not to see your faces, and I'm talking to my screen. At least I can see some colleague and students. So I'm Mariangela Lavanga, and I am the academic coordinator of the Master in Cultural Economics and Entrepreneurship. I'm a senior assistant professor at the Erasmus School of History, Culture and Communication, and I'm working in this amazing master program for the past almost 10 years. But I also had the privilege when I was a student to actually see it having birth. I mean, I at that time I was doing another master, so I was also quite sad that I cannot do the Cultural Economics and Entrepreneurship, but I'm really happy to be involved as a lecturer and still be in contact with so many students that graduated from the master. So the master, it's really about discovering and unraveling the business side of the culture and creative industries with a cultural, economic and entrepreneurship lens. And through this presentation, you will also understand why it's different from other management masters and what are its unique characteristics. Before we start, we have some Q&A function in the Zoom webinar, so you can always write down questions. And my colleagues, Mariangela Lavanga, she's the student advisor, and current student Damisa and Marco can immediately answer, but then we will have also time at the end for questions that we all can answer live. If you have some question related to the COVID-19, you can visit the website, or we can also try to answer them. And for any question linked to admissions, please check with our colleague Miss via the Unibuddy chat. And I am in the admission team, so I can also answer some of them. But if you have really personal questions, you can always send us an email or talk with Miss. You have 2-time shot today, so you can have all answer today. So what is this Master in Cultural Economics? It's an 1-year master. It's really internationally oriented, both from the lecture perspective. We are all coming from different countries in Europe, and also the students. We have over 20 different nationalities. And I must say that it's one of the few masters where maybe the Dutch are not overrepresented. It's completely taught in English. It's really dynamic and intensive. And we are also proud to be ranked first in the Netherlands and second in the world. The only master ranked above us is the master in Bocconi on arts and culture management. But you all know probably that Bocconi University fees are also quite high. But also the master in art management in Bocconi, being me, a former alumna of Bocconi, they are really into the business and management side of culture, while our master really look more at the cultural values and try to go behind price and profit making. We are also one of the first master that actually was born directly in English and directly with an international approach. We celebrated the 15th anniversary a few years ago, and we had a wonderful day with alumni and former students that were coming from Canada to present their work now as policymakers, but also our godmother, Ruth Tause. She's a professor, retired now, but she's one of the most important professor in cultural economics in the world. And also Olaf Veldhuis, a professor who has written a lot about art market and is now a professor of sociology in Amsterdam. So I was introducing the master a few months ago to our current cohort, and you will be our 19 or 20 cohort. So in that time, we will also have another really big event to celebrate 20 years of the master. How the master look like? And I think Marco and Amisa can tell you also about their experience to this year with the online teaching. The first term, it's usually 8 weeks, where the students really get first to know each other, because they will work a lot in group assignment, but also to understand the basic of cultural economics and cultural entrepreneurship. So term 1, I would say, is the toughest of the entire master, because you will get to know different theories in economics and entrepreneurship, and start to apply them little by little via some group work. So you will learn about organizations in the cultural sector, and we don't focus only on museums or the typical heritage sector, but we also look at the more creative sector like music or performing arts, but also fashion, for example, with me. This year, because of the COVID, we managed to have one course in a blended form. So students will have 1 week a class online, and then the week after meeting in small groups, or online, completely online, but with student presentation at the end of the project, at the end of the term on campus. The term 2, because of the COVID restriction and the rise in cases, we had to switch again completely to online, even though some of those courses were planned to be in a blended form. So we also try to adapt easily to the changes in regulation. In term 2, already you can choose to focus on entrepreneurship or cultural economics. And these 2 seminars are very much intended to help you to understand how to do a research, how to develop a research in these 2 fields, and how to apply the theory that you have learned in term 1. This is also the term where you delve more into what we call reproducible cultural industries. So cultural industries that rely heavily on digital innovation, specifically, for example, music, movies, or publishing. And you can understand how the rapid changes and that happen in the past months with digitization have influence now to many other parts of the culture and creative industries. Many events and festivals went online, also from the arts. Art trade fair are experimenting with digital showrooms. Talking about fashion, which is my specialization, you can imagine what happened when all the fashion weeks or the trade fair were cancelled, and now brands are trying to invent a way of presenting their work, bringing online or hybrid form, or even Gucci now created a Gucci Fest with movie. So it's really much interesting now to observe how all these cultural industries intersect and how they evolve together in this uncertainty that we are experiencing. This is also the term where you will start to develop and think about your thesis. So in the research workshop, you are guided in groups of 18 students to think about a research question, a topic for your thesis, and you will develop at the end of December, beginning of January, a proposal that then will be really the stepping stone for your future thesis. Term 3 is the most fun. I always tell students that term 3 is really when they have more freedom to choose their electives, and also the electives that maybe are more linked to their thesis topic or to their personal interest, maybe a sector where they want to work in the future, but also maybe something they know they will never have the opportunity to study, and then they want to know more or explore a topic during the master. And we have quite a range of different topics, from cultural management to economics of fashion, design and architecture. This is the course I'm teaching. We have economics of performing arts in art market. And we also have a course that it's really intended for students who want to challenge their entrepreneurship skills, because you will get the chance already from term 1 or 2 to start thinking in groups, in small groups, towards an innovation that you want to test or try out, an event you want to organize. So you will become entrepreneur yourself during the master. And I will show you some example in a second. We also have a new course, which is about assessing the impacts and values of culture and creativity in society. And also some courses that we share with lecture from the other 2 master in tourism and art, culture and society, which are more embedded in sociology or cultural studies. And those are linked with art education or aesthetics or tourism. In term 3, you will also focus on your thesis. Term 3 basically is the period where you gather data. And I must say that the students of the past academic year, you can imagine that switching to online happened in the middle of term 3. But I was amazed by the commitment and the engagement of our students, and the rate of success. I don't like success word, but the rate of finishing a thesis online was, I think, the highest we ever had. Out of almost 60 students, 50 finished on time and defended the thesis in July, even though they had to change their thesis, I mean, not the topic, but the methods they used to collect data. Maybe they planned field trip or they planned interviews, and they had to switch to online interviews, or maybe from qualitative data they had to gather quantitative via survey. But this also shows how entrepreneurial the student get at this point, and also how all my colleagues were so committed to help each and every one of them to really finish and have the best experience. So term 4, basically, it's all about finishing the thesis, and usually we defend the thesis beginning of July. So you have all the summer for your internship or just vacation and so on. So as I mentioned before, it's really an intensive master, but you can count on very engaged and committed lecturers and support staff, but also students become really a community of practice. They really become a cohesive group, and each one of them has an interest in a particular cultural industry, and they are all really much committed to, I would say, change society. And Marco and Davisa can tell you a bit more. I want to show you some example of student work during the Applied Entrepreneurship Project. From consultancy report for a variety of organizations to even startup proposal like a sustainable ponchos that is not thrown away when it rains at music festivals, to a platform for trade exchange of cultural products between Africa and the Netherlands, to virtual, now virtual, but before they were physical events where students interact with Codarts and Willem de Koning, so musician and artist student from 2 academies in Rotterdam, and they develop events where they will mix music, art, performing arts, and even debate. So what we do in the master, we really go behind the scene of the culture and creative industry. We really try to understand how these industries work, what are the challenges they face, how artists, employees in the cultural sector face challenge, how they develop solution, and so on. So we really try to get a clear sense of theory, and then become really good in applying those theories to cases We have many challenges or case studies during every course has a different approach or different involvement of stakeholders, but you will really get the opportunity to apply the theory to practice. You will have plenty of group work and also develop your presentation and communication skills. We have pitches, we have juries that will assess you. And the most important part is that you don't only understand and will be able to read the society and the changes that are happening, but you will also be able to suggest what should happen. And we always try to teach students, okay, just apply theory and this is, or analyze a case. But I think now the society really asks you and us to come up with solution and idea of a better future. So we really stimulate now students to also think about utopia or dystopia, or thinking about what should our society should become better in dealing with sustainability or other challenges. And I think especially now for the cultural sector, this is a really tricky moment because of the COVID and all museums and places that had to be closed. So there is so much innovation happening, and I think it's a playing field for all of you, because you will become the expert in dealing with uncertainty, but also dealing with digital and physical hybrid form. I mean, you can get crazy in creating new way to promote, to distribute cultural product, and to make amazing new experience, maybe in virtual reality or you name it. So we are really open lecturer in discussing with students new topics, and usually for thesis, it's not us suggesting you what the topic of the thesis should be, but you actually come up with your own ideas. So we were one of the first to actually engage with fashion, engage with sustainability and circular economy, with being like cutting edge from underground cultural offers to very institutional like opera and big museum organizations. So we really cut across all the high and low art with innovation, with traditions and craftsmanship. And I think all the lecturers have their own, let's say, special interest, maybe in music or design or fashion, but all of us are really open to I think we are all curious to learn also from students and to be the best coach and lecturer that we can be. So a broad range of topics. We were also, I think a few years ago, there was an explosion of co-working spaces and several students wrote about them. Now it's not anymore a buzz. I mean, every city, even in the rural areas, they have a co-working space. We discuss topics like even creativity, how creativity can be a signal for dishonesty. So very also topics where students read even about psychology or other behavioral sciences. As I said before, all the students that we have in class, and this is because we select them, we read carefully the CV and the covering letter, they all have a truly interest and curiosity about the arts. They all want to be working in this field, and they all want to make it better and increase participation in the sector. And you can also count now in over, I think, 300 or 700, I don't remember anymore, the number of alumni we have, and they all have different, they are all working in different sectors of the culture and creative industries. So we are receiving lots of applications. Last year we had over 230 applications and we had to select around 60 students. So it's quite competitive. So we really want really good students that take all the challenge that we offer. And we cover quite some countries around the world. We also have study trips. Last year we had to cancel, but every year we went across Europe to visit a city and talk with cultural organization there. Also professors, or we visit at the university. So it's a wonderful opportunity also to make your group more cohesive. And it's also, I think, sad because it's the last time that basically the entire group is together, apart from the graduation, of course. So in terms of admission, we check your grades from the bachelor degrees. If you have some training in economics and empirical research method, this is something that we really need because all the courses are embedded in economics and entrepreneurship. We want to know if you are interested in the cultural sector and also if you have sufficient English language skills. In case, for example, you don't meet some of these criteria, you can still apply for the master, but we will advise you or offer you a place in the pre-master, which give you a 1-year training in some of the topics that are needed to better fulfill the requirement of the master program. And Marco can also answer some of those questions because he was part of the pre-master last year. If you have any question about the admission, always you can today talk with me, but you can always send an email and we can go through your questions. I think I mentioned already some of the employment or sector where the student graduates work, but it's a wide range of sector from the culture and creative industries and from consultancy, research to communication, marketing and advertising. So you can also check the LinkedIn group of the master and you can also already see some of the sector where the students, where the graduates work. So we have plenty of institutions, both in the Netherlands, like the Kunsthal or Amphi, which is a fashion school in Amsterdam, to places in other parts of the world, Sotheby's or London, or and any student that go back to their own country and they find also interesting jobs. I would like to stop here